when you wrote your memoir, The Bedwetter, Stories of Courage, Redemption, and Pee, was there any part that you found particularly or very cathartic to put down on paper? I mean, you've lived so publicly, shared so many stories. Was there anything that just felt different or freeing or cathartic when you put it in the book? Or the opposite, extremely difficult to kind of put down?
Well, the first couple months of stuff I wrote, I had to throw away because I was writing the way I thought a writer should write. Instead of just the prose of how I talk, or just me, however that is.
Using your voice.
The first time I did Fresh Air with Terry Gross, I remember I was like, well, Terry, and then I was just like, who is this? I felt like I grew up with NPR. I wanted to have that voice. So these moments where I found myself trying to do or be what I've seen before, what is normal or what, and then I had to just throw it out. And I was writing with such furrowed brow, and you could see it. Then just almost being an investigative reporter in my life, interviewing my parents and seeing how those stories, their perspective on things were the same and where they were different, and kind of be a detective in my own life to be able to tell a story and realizing stuff I had never realized, having to deconstruct. I always thought, oh God, well, deconstructing comedy just ruins it. But it kind of doesn't. It's interesting. And to me, it's fascinating. It's what I love. And writing that book made me really see the trajectory of how I became a comedian, because I had a dad who thought it was hilarious to teach his 3-year-old swears. And then I would yell those swears at the market, and I remember the feeling of yelling it out and all these grown-ups giving me this wild approval despite themselves. And that feeling, I just became addicted. I remember my arms itched with glee. And of course, I chased that. I chased it. Shock became my currency at 3 and 4 and 5, And it just made so much sense, looking at how I depended on that. And then after my first special, which was a stand-up movie, actually, I didn't get a special with anyone, but the guy from Interscope was like, I'll make a movie. And Jesus is Magic was my first special. It came out like a movie. And after that, I had to start over. That was my first special. So it was the best of everything I had ever done.
Right.
Now I had nothing. I had done it as a one-woman show for a few years. And then it came out in 2004 or 2005. So I had been working with all that material for so long. And then I just kept doing it a little bit.
After it came out.
Yeah. I just didn't know what to do because I had a real identity crisis. And it was a great moment of growth in a way because people didn't want to see the same material. I had to write new material. But in order to do that, I had to disappoint audiences.
Right.
I had to start over. And now people came to see me. I wasn't just comedian number 7 at the improv lineup. People were coming to see me, but I had to start over. But what they expected was to be shocked and surprised. And I wanted to give them that. And I didn't know how to do that because they had an expectation of it now. What I had to realize was comedy dies in the second guessing of what your audience wants to see. It was never how I had started. And now I found myself in this place where I was like, well, if they're expecting to be surprised, they need to surprise them. But then I'm giving them what they're expecting. And I just had to stop. And I got very inspired by watching Chris Rock, who does a special. I mean, he's such a pro. He goes out on the road. He runs it, tweaks it, all those things. And then he starts at 0 and he goes to the Comedy Cellar or wherever he goes and they bring him up and the audience goes bananas and he doesn't take on that pressure of wanting to give them what they want to see. He just, what do I got? You know, he brings it down to zero. He bombs. And maybe one or two or three things, there's something there, and it's work. And you have to be brave enough to eat a bowl of shit and try new stuff and see where it goes. And then some stuff that bombs you cut, and some stuff that bombs you still believe in. And there's something here. I like this. It could be just missing a beat or an and, or an article of a word, or I'm setting it up too much, or I'm not setting it up enough. The point is, you have to be brave enough to bomb again and start over, even if you're famous, even if people come to see you and you know they're going to be disappointed, because that process is, you can't avoid it. You can't write a monologue at home and memorize it. It's just not how comedy works. The audience is half of it.